Welcome to Sense of Wonder Night 2020! 皆さんこんばんは。そして Sense of Wonder Night 2020へようこそ。
皆さんこんばんは。
こんばんは。
本日の司会を務めさせていただきますゲームジャーナリストの新清です。
それとイザベルです。どうぞよろしくお願いします。さあ、新さん始まりましたね。
はい、始まりましたね。
SOWN2020. Yes, we barely managed to do it. Yes, this has been broadcast live online. You know, this is ambience. It's kind of rare to me. You know, it's been 13 years. This is the 13th TGS2020. Yes, we barely managed to do it online. Alright, so in Akihabara, Exe Akiba, from the facility we are broadcasting live. In Exe Field, you know, it's been known for Tokyo Game Show and other games were played in these facilities. So, utilizing that facilities, we are broadcasting live. So this Sense of Wonder Night, this is a 13th game session. So, some of you might not be familiar with it, so let me explain. So the moment you see it, hear the concept, you know, the sense that something abstractly changing to your world, and this is a sense that we call it the Sense of Wonder Night, and we tried to dig out the game's ideas. And following 2019, from around the world, there are many productions that's been applied, over 300. Yes, it is exactly 371 productions. Yes, among which that's been narrowed down to 80, and selection committee roll up their sleeves and narrow it further down to 8 as a finalist. And looking at the nationalities and where they're from, Canada, Denmark, Indonesia, Peru, Switzerland, Poland, and 1 game respectively, and 2 productions from Japan. So, which is truly worldwide, Shin-san. Yes, exactly. And, you know, to begin with, we didn't really know whether we can hold those games, but because of all the cooperation gained by the other stakeholders, we barely managed to hold it. And worldwide, we have gained cooperation from other people. So, more than ever, we have more members participating around the globe. So we've enjoyed many applications from the countries that haven't been applied to those Tokyo Game Show 2020, and we are acknowledging they are so high quality, and we are trying so hard to narrow them down. Yes, every single year the high quality is getting higher and higher. I know there are so many highlights, and we are very much looking forward to it. And we see more members were participating from many other countries. Now, these 8 concepts, could you please introduce what are the productions? Yes, we have 2 sections, 2 topics for these 8 games. 1, chasing the possibility of puzzle and physics. We have full titles in that bracket. And we are very excited to what kind of games we can see. Another sections is the experience of brand new story, which is a kind of a new narrative and how the story is narrated in the games. And we have chosen some of the outstanding productions, and we will go through those games. Thank you. Right, 2 productions are displayed in here physically, and other productions will be broadcast online. We are kind of excited and nervous, and we are very much hoping for the smooth operations. Yes, this is broadcasting live. And of course, some members are presenting from Japanese team here, but other 6 teams are waiting for the presentation from their home. And so this is completely broadcasting live, and in tandem with this show, they're making speeches from their homes. Yes, so I appreciate your cooperation and stay behind us. Now,
Today's event is streamlined on Nico Nico Doga and Twitter, and you can watch the event on site. And also, please use the SOWN2020 for the hashtag. If you want to leave the comments, please use the hashtag SOWN2020. We are looking forward to receiving many comments.
ご説明をいたしますと、これは対象となりますグランドオーディエンスアワードに選ばれた
For today's award, we are providing $3,000 for Grand Audience Award. We have Best Game Design Award and other awards. For each award, we are providing $500. This is really the big amount of money. Yes, it is. It certainly is. Okay. Please watch the event till the end. Let's start the Sense of Wonder Night. This is sponsored by Sony Interactive Entertainment and Nintendo.
今年なんか私たち手持ちぶたさになっているんですけれども、
Today, this year, we don't have anything. We usually have microphones on the stage and scripts and the other thing that is very important, but we don't have that today. This has been the biggest challenge. We usually use Pico Pico hammer. When you like the game, audience shakes the Pico Pico hammers, and we count how much Pico Pico hammer is shaken. We usually do that, but we cannot do that this year. So this year, I have to ask for your support from the viewers. So I want the viewers to leave the comments when you like the game. So if you like a game that is presented, please tweet Pico or PICO. If you like the game very much, please leave the comment as Pico Pico. If you think the game is the perfect one, so you can leave as many Pico or PICO as possible. We are looking at all the Pico Pico comments in each platform. This is brand new initiative. Last year, we were able to hear how many Pico Pico hammers were shaken, but this time it is a visual this year. Yes. So we chose to do this in this way. So if you feel the sense of wonder, it's not only Twitter, but if you are using Twitter, please use hashtag SOWN2020 and leave the comments as Pico, 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 PICO. And other platforms, you can leave the comments for those platforms. Don't forget, leave the comments Pico, Pico. So it's kind of cute to look at Pico, Pico visually. Okay, so your Pico, Pico will be very important for tonight's event. For Audience Award Grand Prize is hugely impacted by your comments, Pico Pico. So we had a Grand Audience Award. So we wanted to make sure this is the most premium award. This is the Audience Award Grand Prix for this year. So we count all the Pico Pico, and whoever gets the most Pico Pico will get the award. So we are providing all kinds of awards. And I will announce 2 games that I thought got the most Pico Picos, and there will be a last chance you can leave the comments Pico Pico, and at the end we will be choosing a Grand Prix. So I have the eye sensor, which is visual sensor, which is very accurate. So I will judge how many Pico Picos are left. So your Pico Pico will determine who will win the award. So this is very important, and we appreciate your support. Yes, we have a monitor in front of us, so we are looking at it. So when we are looking down, it means that we are watching your Pico Pico comments. Now, let's introduce 8 selection members. Yes, here in the venue, we have selection members. Isao Kitayama from Shindenken.
NPO 法人オキュフェスの高橋健二さん。
Mr. Kenji Takahashi from NPO Okufes.
つくもの駒形和則さん。よ
ろしくお願いします。
Mr. Kazunori Komagata from Tsukumo.
ソニーインタラクティブエンターテインメントの吉田修平さん。
Mr. Shuhei Yoshida from Sony Interactive Entertainment.
それから、今回リモートにて参加いただいている3名の方もご紹介させていただきます。一つは、ゲームタップスの、ジュアン・ジュエルさん。はい。
はい、Mr. Juan Grill from Game Tapas. Hello. いますね。
はい。
ちゃんと聞こえてるといいですね。
ワンテンポが出てる感じではあると思います。はい。それから東北
There
学
are
院
some
大
delay,
学
but
の
I
小林
think he
重信
hears us.
信重さん。
Mr. Nobushige Kobayashi from Tohoku Gakuen University.
はい。でからビデオゲーム忍者ツシガのラモンナフィリアさん。ごめんなさい。
Mr. Ramon Nafria from Video Game Ninja Tsushiga.
はい。それに、私の、シーンを含めまして8名で、厳正な審査を行わせていただきました。
はい。
There are 8 selection members, including myself. There are some selection members from online.
Juan, yes? Yes, okay, okay, よかった。結構反応が薄いっていうね、ちょっと焦っちゃいましたけれども。
Okay, I was wondering why there was so very little reaction. So these are the 8 selection committee members. So out of 80, we have gone through very rigid process. It was very intensified competition. Any title can win the award. But the game that represents sense of wonder should win the awards. So let's look at the game. So let's start the presentation.
カナダからの参加です。Infinity by David Martin。それでは行きましょう。
Hi.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, hi. So today I'll be showing you our game Infini. It's a psychedelic puzzle adventure. So my name is David Martin. I'm from Okay, some technical difficulties here. So, hi, my name is David Martin. I'm from the studio Barnac, which is a 2-person studio based in Montreal, Canada. Today, I'll be showing you our psychedelic puzzle adventure, Infini. So, in the beginning, in this game, you fall infinitely, your character falls infinitely, and you can only move from left to right. So you start like this, and as you can see, the screen sort of wraps on itself. So here I'll just head to this first circle here, which is the goal. So there, if I just left myself falling here, I would have collided with the wall. You see, when I collide with the wall, I instantly die. So in Infini, every obstacle is deadly. So this is, I'll go right to the next goal. Here we introduce another kind of screen wrapping, screen looping. So if I try to go to the goal here, and I will, of course, collide with the wall. I can't cross from there. So if I try and cross to the left, you see, I wrap around here. So this is the basic idea of the game. So this is really the main mechanic. So then we sort of iterate on that all through the game. In terms of the narrative, your character is Hope. So it's in a world where concepts are personified. So ideas are characters. So Hope is stuck inside infinity, and he's trying to escape, he's trying to come back to reality. So he's trying to bring hope to the world. And in order to do that, he'll have to interact with several other concepts, such as war, technology, poetry, fatality, which are all characters in the game and which have different feelings toward hope. So yeah, that's the basic idea for the narrative, and that narrative is really shown through different narrative sequences, which are dialogues mainly. Integrated in the game. So here I'll skip a bit later in the game. You see, in fact, this is the menu screen. So in the menu screen, you can see the poetry, which is lying down. Poetry is the dog here that's lying down. Poetry is looking at memories from hope. And those memories are represented by the tombstones. The tombstones are not in a chronological order, so the whole idea of Infinity is that even the story is a puzzle. So you experience the story in a non-linear way, and you sort of have to understand and piece everything together. So this is like later in the story. So you see that Hope is sort of not well. He's missing an arm. There's been a lot of stuff that happened. So yeah. Here I'll start over. So there is a new ability here. Now with the R button, you can zoom out. You can actually control the framing of the camera. So I'll start over. So if I zoom out, you see, I can see more of the level. So I also have two new abilities, which are speeding up and slowing down. So I can combine all those abilities and try to get to the goal. Here you see for the zooming out, if I zoom out too much, I actually can't get to the goal. So I sort of have to control my zooming here so I can frame it just the right way so that I don't see the walls. And there I can cross and go in the closed box. So that's the whole idea also here. It's that you can, what you don't see actually doesn't exist at all. So it can't hurt you. So I'll still skip a bit later in the game. Here I'll come back. When you see, when I start new levels, you see a number of days since the incident. So here it's 1 day since the incident. That's the time that Hope has been stuck in Infinity. So now you see this is 1 day since the incident. So it's really at the beginning of the story. So Hope is really at its best. So he has wings. So now if I press the slow down button, the slowing down, since he has wings, he actually goes up. So I have like a new direction I can go to now. So I can also freeze in place with the B button. You see now I'm stuck. I have to start over. Or if I go like this. Oh no, stuck again. So, I'll skip a bit later just to show you some other mechanics. Here, if I'll skip right to this one. In this one, we introduce the zooming, actually zooming in, I mean. So I'll skip to this one. So this is way later, you see, but still before he lost his arm. So that's sort of an idea of how to sort of piece the story of the game together. So here there's zooming. So there's actually like a third dimension because those layers that you see behind are really places you can go to. So I'm actually scrolling through the layers, and the only active layer is the one I can see, the first one that's close to me. So here I can actually freeze in place and change the direction of gravity. So this is really helpful later in later puzzles. So there. And then we really, it really gets quite complex after all of this. So later in the game, we add a bunch of other mechanics. So we add the turning of the screen, we had turning the gravity, the screen, and there's also like later in the game there are levels where you actually control two characters at once. So that's pretty much it for my presentation. Thank you very much for listening to for watching my presentation. And I'll just leave by saying that Infini is currently available on Steam and Switch. And if you're curious, please go try it out because there's a demo on both platforms. So thank you a lot.
Thank you very much.
いやこれまた
All right, thank you. This is very, very strange and weird and exciting. Thank you. And I was very amazed by that universe he showed. Any comments you would like to make? Thank you. This game, the moment I saw it, I really, really loved it. The character and the universe and how the the screen moves, and I was really wondering what exactly is happening, which is very simple operation, but you need to move your head, brains and fingers at the same time. And I was kind of wondering why. What made him create the production, create the games. And I was able to hear the story and concept and story was behind the games, and which was very exciting. Thank you. Thank you. All right, so go along to the next one. Going to the next one.
Elec Head by Nama Takahashi. Here we go.
皆様、はじめまして。日本で
Hello everyone.
開発をしています生高橋です。
I am Nama Takahashi.
現在開発している
I'm individually developing a game in Japan. Today, I want to introduce Elec Head. This is the puzzle action platformer. I prepared the stage dedicated for this presentation. Thank you for your time today. In this world, there is no light. In order to get the light back, you navigate the robot in order to get the light back, and you will go deep dive into certain facility. Electricity is leaking from this robot, so if he touches the floor, he electrifies objects. So when there is electricity, you will see that because the color changes. Because of this nature, you will activate a lot of gimmicks or tricks. So this is the emerging floor. When it is electrified, you can walk on it. But when you jump, then electricity will be turned off. So you will be below. And there's a monitor, and you can activate the monitor with the electricity. There are some obstacles that hampers your journey. This system provides electricity, which is an obstacle for these robots. So you have to avoid those obstacles in order to process the story. This is the moving floor, but you cannot reach by jumping. But you don't have to physically go to there. You can activate certain gimmicks or tricks. Floor, wall, ceiling. So you activate certain things. So they are serving as some kind of switch. And you have chain. This is different from a ceiling or wall. You cannot touch it, but you can electrify those chains. If you go there, the system is activated and you cannot go further. So you have to keep being mindful, so you have to avoid the chain. So you have to know that in order to process this game. Now let me talk about very unique actions for this game. As you go further, you can get chip that will unleash your new skill. When you get the chip, you can throw your head, but you can still control your body. When you get to the head, you can be connected. Let's say there are certain area you cannot reach by jumping, but you can throw your head and activate the system, and you can go further. And it's not only about left and right. You can throw your head above yourself. By doing so, you can get certain chips. So it is very useful head. And the power supply comes from your head. So your body does not generate electricity. So even though there are certain dangerous objects, but if you are only body without your head, you can walk onto it. But after a certain time, you will be exploded. So you have to always remember you get your head back. Sometimes the head is upside down. So it's kind of cute, right? I will show you some puzzle. When you get chip, you can go further. If you jump here, the floor will disappear and you are dead. When you throw your head, it doesn't work. You have to keep this floor by electrifying the floor. To do it, you throw your head, leave the head, and you go further only with your body. But you cannot forget your head. So this is how it works. So you have to be very smart and you have to use your head. And this is very electrifying yourself. There are not much letters, information. It is very intuitive to understand the rules. You just move, jump, and throw your head. Very simple. So you don't have to rely on the language. So it is very universal game. In itch.io, the trial version is available. Please play my game. And that is all for my presentation. Thank you. Yes, I'd love to play this. It looks very interesting. It is very simple puzzle. It's well designed. It was very interesting. Thank you, Takashi-san. Kitayama-san, can I have some comments? Yes. What is good about this game is that so it looks like it can work in a classic Nintendo. You touch it, you can move it. I have never heard of this idea. So I have changed a lot of games. I have developed many games, but I didn't come across this game for the past 30 years or even more. Nobody noticed this kind of new idea, but he reached this brand new idea. Sometimes we feel that all the game ideas are exhausted. But there are certain concepts we didn't really think of as a developer that reminded me of that. You don't have to have very smart computers. You don't have to use a sophisticated device. You can look back and you can ask yourself, is there any stones that are not unturned yet? So I would like to, it was very inspiring for me, and I am looking forward to having new ideas. Thank you. So let's go to the next one.
Again, this production is from Japan as well. This is a Fight Club.
Here we go.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am Onuki from Karapa Games. So let me present what we have created. Now, what is Fight Club? like this against crabs, and crabs punch and fight and try to kill and pinch and swing arms and swords and try to fight each other. That's what it is all about. I guess it's been 10 years. I had created some games for seafood and shellfish for fighting, and there were some concerns I had, because it doesn't really have to be crabs. Of course, gaming systems, of course, we try to express some flavors and characteristics of crabs, but graphics of characters and gaming functions can be separated. For example, in the fighting games, it could be crabs, it could be daddy or ankles, and because the hitbox and skills are the same, and it doesn't really have to be crabs then. Then I thought, what is the game that has to have a crab? That is the game that embraces the very shape of the crab. Then what does it look like if the human beings play the game? Then it will look like this. The shape is very, very similar to the controller that's coming onto the marketplace recently. So this is how we play the game. First of all, you place LR buttons will move in tandem with the clinch. Joy-Cons tilt or go in tandem with the move ups and down and the left and right. Then you can move the crabs where we want it to be. And you move it very vigorously. You can punch the an opponent. So like this, with a freedom, you can operate the crabs. And this is a game that is respecting the shape of the crabs. So the rule is very much based on the crabs. So you fail once you flip upside down, which is like a menko, which is an old traditional Japanese game that flip the card upside down. Not just animation, but as a physical simulation, crabs will flip upside down. So it's very much possible we have various scenarios to win in various kinds. And then, it brings forth of the meaning to have a series and a variety of crabs. The sizes of a clinch shows how easily you can defend, or the length of the leg is very much related to mobility and how much you can swirl you around. So the character's strengths can be derived from the very nature of crabs, and also with the actions can be varied with the weapons. And this has a very physical simulation into it. For example, now what's pleasing about it is that players, sometimes think and what it would be ideal to be like that. And when you play games, you sometimes feel that you swing yourself around and you swing the sword, which will be very strong, you might feel. And so you have a jet on the left-hand side, you have a sword on the other, and you can have an ultra powerful skills here. We call it jet katana in Japanese. And of course, vehicles and chains were up on a screen. For example, while you attack with the scooters, you make chain twist the opponent and fell them down, which is a good skills. And with the sword, you make the opponents upside down. And even it's a small crabs, so you can turn yourself around and swing around the arms so you can, attack the opponent. And as with hammers, there are some arms that crabs can use with both hands. Like that, you use both arms and you can use it for any directions you want it to be. And maybe you might feel, and is it like just a matter of luck? But you can see the gauge at the bottom, which is the damages, the cumulative damages. The more damages you have, the more likely that you will fall down. And in these stages, if you get punched, you see the gauges, which gets elongated in the red, which is very unstable. And if it's within 3 seconds, you can get it back again. But then many times you fall it down. Look at the bottom. You see the black in the gauges, and that means you don't have any vitality that remains in your body. So, maybe you can punch them and fall them down many times. It's possible, but it's very, very a promising path to, stump them out on the road. And it's not that you can't beat them any further, but in a certain period of time, hyper mode is available, where you can have a hyper functions with a very, active mode. It's very much possible to, overbeat them and win over them. It's like a Dragon Sun game. Of course, Shirahadori, that's one of functions, the features that they can, bring forward to rob the weapons from the opponent. So with these actions, the crabs fight with other crabs. It's been already sold into the marketplace already, and some championships are held. And at first, it's challenging, of course, but when you get used to it, you were a very seasoned player for that, and there are many players who become more like crabs coming onto the championships. So let's be, and why not be crabs in the playing game with the Fight Club? It's been already available. Thank you very much for your listening. Thank you. Yeah, I was laughing while I heard. And it's very interesting because there are many numbers and kinds of crabs who are available. And following seafood, and you were nominated again. How did you feel? And how confident were you? Well, I don't know. Maybe there was some possibility. Yeah, which is a wonderful game. Thank you. So, Komagata-san, any comments? Takahashi-san? Onuki-san. 2017. The Audience Grand Prix has been won, and other award has been won by Onuki-san. You came back on stage again for Sense of Wonder Night. And again, this game is related to seafood. The Kani no Kenka, the Fight Club, which is very much centered around the seafood, which sounds very interesting. I voted. But once I hear your presentations, there are very bits and pieces peppered around the games, which are very interesting. And Steam version or Switch version, I was kind of dithering which one to buy. But I would like to, looking forward to have conversation about that with him. Thank you.
Yes, I see you are leaving a lot of Pico Pico. Yes, we look at every Pico Pico. It will have a big impact on who will win the awards. So we appreciate your Pico Pico, and we see anything other than Pico Pico. It is interesting, so we appreciate your support. Okay, let's go to the next one.
Nimbatus, the Space Drone Constructor by Arno Justus. Here we go.
Hello everyone, and greetings from Switzerland. We are Filomena and Arno from Straight One Studio, and we are the developers of Nimbatus, the Space Drone Constructor. Today we are going to talk a little bit about this sense of wonder we hope to instill in our players with our game. But first we're going to tell you a little something about the game itself. But since only telling you would be rather boring, let's take a look at it.
Yeah, so this is our game. This is Nimbatus, the Space Drone Constructor. It's an action simulation game, and it's about building your own physically simulated space drones out of all kinds of different parts. And yeah, you basically become a captain and travel through space with your own creations. You go ahead and explore different planets. Here we see some galaxies. And you have to beat different kinds of missions on your mission to get back to Earth. And yeah, here you can see you gather some resources, you fight enemies, you destroy some planets. There's even some competitive racing in there. And of course, you want to go ahead and discover all the secrets of the universe, such as this weird thing.
So yeah, Nimbatus, the Space Drone Constructor. Some milestones about it. We started development on it back in 2013 as a hobby project in our spare times. And then we decided to develop it as an actual game, raised $75,000 on Kickstarter in 2017. And from then on, we developed the game with our community, with the players, until the early access release in fall 2018, and subsequently the full release in spring of 2020. And up to this point, we've sold over 100,000 copies on Steam.
Thank you, everybody who supported us this far.
So as you see, we started all the way back in 2013. So you may wonder, what did we do in all this time? How did we get to where we are with the game now? So let's look back at how we created Nimbatus. It was originally just born out of this fascination with games and tech art and some cool things that you could do with games, like terrain generation and deformation. Here you can see two very early prototypes. One even in 3D, which the game nowadays is not anymore, of course. But yeah, this was just the start. We had fun with it, and this is all the way back in 2013 or 14.
And then we thought, you know what's cool? Space. So we decided to take the whole setting and put it into space. And we started trying out these little drones with their parts. And then it became pretty fast, pretty clear that it would be very cool to also add this physical simulation with like these wiggly effects. So we went ahead and tried that, and we really liked it a lot.
And yeah, that already pretty much brings us to where we are today. The drone editor, which you can see working in the background, this is how you build drones. This was done pretty quickly, and since then we've only iterated and improved on it, made it more user-friendly, added more features that the community requested. Yeah, and of course we didn't just stop there. We also had to build a game around all that. So this is how it looks like today in the single player mostly, where you can see some terrain-based missions where the weapons and the drones interact with the terrain that we had at the start. And then we added, some things that community wanted and some ideas that we thought were cool, like the competitive Sumo mode or the racing mode or some other multiplayer modes, like the fighting thing that you see in the top right corner.
It's a little bit like Robot Wars, if you know that one.
Yeah, and that pretty much already sums it up about how we created Nimbatus, but what was arguably more important to us is what our players could create with Nimbatus.
Yeah, so here are some examples. During development, we very much involved the community and asked them, hey, what do you think would be cool in the game? And we went ahead and added lots of different drone parts and all kinds of features that they thought were cool. And they were usually right. So we also did like some building competitions where people had to come up with their own designs. And the winner then would usually get a Steam key as a reward. And the players just kept surprising us with amazing things. So here we can see these cool Pac-Man inspired drones. So players told us they really wanted to have animated LEDs drone parts in the game. So we went ahead and added them. And yeah, this is what they came up with after we added them. Here we see Pac-Man, what Pac-Man is doing best, eating into the planet, in this case, as a drone form. And yeah, we were not only were players inspired to create things inspired by other games, such as Pac-Man, but they also created their very own games within our game.
Yeah, that's another aspect of the game that was really important to us. Like, we started with all this physics-based stuff. So there's, of course, the drone building with the parts. So there is a slightly educational aspect in a way that players learn about how the game works, the physics in the game work, rigidity. But then we also added, like as a part, these programmable parts, which were also requested by the players, which work in a way like their own programming language. So you can actually learn programming in Nimbatus. And players have built some crazy stuff with that, like, yeah, of course, their own games, like the tic-tac-toe you see, some variations on other games like Rocket League in Nimbatus, and even this crazy actually working crazy calculator, which you see on the right.
Indeed.
This was then also used in more physical games, like this Nimbatus version of Rock'em Sock'em Robots. You can see they have a little health bar up top there. I think it's this way. And yeah, you can see these robots fighting it out. And it's all in Nimbatus. So you see all those logic parts blinking down there. And the blue robot lost. But if you're just into robots and not into like programming the stuff, and especially into larger robots, you can also just build your large fighting robots, like the skeleton, which gets armor right about now. Perfect. And yeah, that pretty much already sums it up for our presentation. Yeah, this whole toy box aspect was really important to us throughout the entire development process. So we wanted players to have fun, experiment with the game, and express themselves in their drones. That was, yeah, the most important aspect to the game.
Yeah, kind of instill a sense of wonder with what they could create within the game. Yeah, thank you very much for listening to us today, and thank you so much for this nomination. We really appreciate it. If you think Nimbatus is cool. It was released on Steam a while ago, and there is also a free drone creator that you can just get on Steam and build your own creations and participate in all our building competitions, so you can win a key for the full game.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
It looks very interesting. It's like a Lego, and it is inspired by many games. It's like there are many games in one Nimbatus game. So I would like to receive a comment from Komagata-san. Yes. I sell PCs. Recently, there are some discussion how we can maintain kids interested when it comes to programming education. I don't like to study. However, if you use the game and you can learn programming, and you can create a lot of things, maybe it will be a very good way to entertain kids while educating them. And this eye-catching graphics, very beautiful. So I think kids will be very happy, but not only for the kids, it will entertain adults like me. I have a very high expectation. Thank you for your presentation. Thank you. I think this is very promising. This is very interesting. Thank you. Let's go to the next one.
All right, coming to the latter half, threes. Fours.
By Niels A. Waterberg from Denmark. Here you go.
Hi, I'm Niels, and I'm here to welcome you aboard First Class Trouble, a cruise where you can trust absolutely no one. So First Class Trouble is an online co-op game about trust and deceit that takes place aboard the Alethea, a mighty interstellar cruise ship built by the Scandinavian Interstellar Cruise Company in the late 1950s and sent off on a magnificent journey across the galaxy. As you can see here, it really is a big luxury ship complete with everything you need: malls, spas, casinos, restaurants, and basically any biodome you can imagine. But something bad has also happened here. The onboard cyborg crew, the Personoids, have revolted against the residents of the ship. A few survivors now remain after a dramatic showdown between man and robot, and it's now your job, together with 5 other players, to reach the artificial intelligence Kane and take back control of the ship. There's just one problem. Among you are 2 Personoids who are working against you and lying. So First Class Trouble really is a game where you can discover your inner liar and push your social skills to the limit while fighting for your survival. Core to the game is that progression requires cooperation, sparking social interaction. Players must avoid hazards and fix oxygen outlets together. Even something like killing another player requires 2 players to agree. Players need to figure out who the personalities are before they reach the end. Information can be obtained, but getting information is always a trade-off, putting yourself and the team in danger. Choices have to be made, especially in the airlock and in the flush. A special feature in the game is our proximity-based voices, which allows you to hear only players that are close to you physically in the game. This allows for planning and plotting in the game in an extraordinary and real-life way. All of this drama takes place in these beautiful environments. So let's go on a small tour. Now we're entering the restaurant, L'Étoile du Nord, where you can enter such lavish dishes as the grilled nebula or the sunny side up. The game currently comes with a restaurant, casino, spa, and mall. Here we're entering the resort area where you can grab a drink by the pool or push someone in the pool and give them a deadly dive. And there are dangers aboard the ship as well. You gotta work and avoid those together to combat the many dangers left behind from the robot behold, like fires. And if you're not careful, you will catch fire yourself or freeze to death in the kitchen freezer. Loose hanging wire will electrocute you, but most importantly, you gotta watch out for those imposters who want to get rid of you in a way that they can. First Class Trouble is more than a deception game. It's a place to have fun while stabbing your friends in the back. And when you die, you become a small tiny Roomba that can clean up everything that the residents have left behind. You can float paper planes, and you can also pick up a hat, like this silly one here. The game is fully customizable, both your character and your cabin. You can even find a jukebox, put on music, and start dancing. I think maybe I've done enough talking, and it's time to see how this game plays as a multiplayer game with others. La la la. There's no sound apparently on this video, so I only just found out. But that sort of concludes it from me. The game is available on Steam in closed alpha, so if you go wishlist it and join our Discord, you can get a copy and start playing right away. Thank you so much for allowing me to present First Class Trouble here today. That concludes my presentation. Hello?
Niels, thank you.
はい、ちょっと音がなかったの残念ですが、あれですね、ゲームとして
Yeah, it's very unfortunate the sound was not really available. And it's like a game that are developed by the werewolves. it will be very exciting games, I believe. Yeah, it's very interior is very beautiful. Yeah, in selection, I've seen the video and the footage. I was very imagining what the will actually looks like. You know, Android and who is Android and who is a resident. We try to, you know, deceive and be deceived in the games, and I'm very looking forward to see the games more. All right, so Kom-san. Oh, Kobayashi-san is in remote. Kobayashi-san, can you hear me?
あ、聞こえます。すいません。
Yes, I can
はい。
hear you.
すごくこう信じたり騙したりっていうの を
believing someone
みん
and
なでプレイ
deceiving
楽しむような
someone
タイプのゲーム
and,
で
you know, enjoying with
プレイ
everybody.
しても
Even though you play
ゲーム
it,
実況してもすごく楽しそうだなっていうふうに感じまし
you
た。
know, like broadcasting
ちょっと
what's happening in the games
スティーム
might
版
be
を今見て
interesting.
いたんですけど、
And
英語版
I
しか
was
ない
looking at the
よう
Steam
なので、
version. It seems like
日本
English
語
version
版
is
で
available
出してい
only.
ただけると日本でも大
So
ヒットし
we
そうだなって
truly
いうふうに
appreciate
思
the
いました。
Japanese version will be available, and so that the Japanese people will enjoy it.
はい、それはコメントというかお願いって感じですよね。
Yeah, it's kind of a request, right? Yes, we expect that to happen. Yeah, we appreciate if somebody can, you know, translate and do that in Japanese, so that, you know, we can introduce it in Japanese market and everybody will enjoy it. All right, thank you.
続いての作品に参りましょう。続いては Arrog by Mateo Alaisa Moncloa from Peru.
Hello, everybody. My name is Mateo Alaisa. I am director of Hermanos Magia, and I have developed this game called Arrog with the help of Leap Game Studios, another studio based in Lima, Peru. So what I want you to talk about today especially is why I came to this idea. And I want to talk to you about death, actually, because it's the main idea that we developed through the course of the game. So often when we think about death, we think of something that first of all doesn't sell, and second of all, it's something that we don't know how to manage. So when somebody dies, we put a sad face, and also we put this dress, this black dress. So this is, of course, common practice in social ways, but when a friend dies, we do the same. And I wondered why we react to death this way if we think it differently when we used to have this friend close. We used to laugh with him. Why can't we laugh in places as funerals, for example? So death is a big problem, and I think part of it is that we as a society have not too many spaces to think about it, to think how to deal with it, to think death in other terms. So I wanted to make a game that connected this problem with another type of sensibility. So I wanted to make a premium game and a point-and-click puzzle game. The first reason was that premium games have an inner voice, and this voice always comes with a posture towards the world and sensibility. And point and click because I wanted to explore the idea of death, not for a morbid reason, but because I think death is not only that ugly face that we always put to it. So the story is about a man that dies and why this is important. So in the story, you have to help him let go, and what really means to do that. So in order to do so, the main character travels through his dreams in the ways of metaphors, and these dreams are the stages of the process of accepting death. When we developed the identity of the art, we wanted to make an identity that came as a game that had a context, as a game that in Peru is extremely rare to make, from our cultures. So one of our first elements that came to us was the mate burilado, that is this piece of art. And what is very important and beautiful of these pieces are that these objects tell the stories of a communities and how these communities, what these communities do, how they feel, how they act. It's the story of a collective feeling of a group. This idea was really strong for me because when we think death, especially in the cities, we think it alone. We don't share it. We are afraid of sharing that because it's uncomfortable. Another important reference that I bring is Chillida, because I thought when we think about life and when we think about death, we think of black and white, binary concepts. So what happens if I use the visuals in order to project that, not giving names or concepts, but just an image. And people can, if they want, use their own concepts. So black is death, white is life, black is bad, white is good. But what happens if this begins to mix? So this image for me is really strong because actually I don't see it separated. I see those elements integrated. So I begin to do the art. And one very important thing was that I knew that a game like this needed to have a really intimate visuals. So we did all the animations and all the graphic of the game first manually, and then we passed it on digital. We wanted to make a warm feeling when you saw it, and that warm feeling was especially contradictory to the cold idea of death. I wanted to make you accept the idea not through the mind but through the heart. These are some visuals of the game that I made exploring the idea and what story could I make of this. And then I came to the narrative. So for me was the story is about a hunter that has to die, but he's accompanied by a psychopomp. Psychopomp is a Greek concept that is a representation of an animal that guides you to the process of death. Instead of being the famous school of death or a shadow or something that scares us, is an animal. It's a force of nature that doesn't have nor a negative nor a positive position towards it. So all the game deals with a subject that is really delicate. And this for me was really important because many cultures have different perspectives of what is death. And this is really important for this game because I didn't want to make a storyline with characters and an arc and an argument. I wanted to have a space of interpretation and a space that let sensibility have different answers to the great question that why death? We all ask for this question and nobody has a final answer. We have different ways of believing, but nobody has the final answer. Everybody acknowledges that they believe in something. Even if you don't believe, you believe in not believing. So death for me is a space for humanity to acknowledge that they have a field of knowledge that they don't know. And that, especially for this game, has a strong connection with the origin of what I was talking to you. The origin is how we see it, death in Latin America. Not in the influence that we Latin American developers have from big United States or maybe Europe. We need a new voice. We need a voice that comes from our context. So death in Latin America is not only this black sad face and this suit, it's also a celebration of life because we don't see it as something separate. We see it as something integrated. When somebody dies, you leave space to other one. And that other one is not necessarily someone that is a human. It can be an animal. It is Mother Nature that right now in the societies that we live, we are leaving behind. We are trying to create affirmations of how we see the world, but we forget to feel the world and to feel the places that sometimes we reject. So finally, why the game? It's called Arrog. Arrog, it doesn't mean anything, not even in Spanish. Arrog is just a name like an empty box, because I wanted to leave you without any preconception of the game of death or whatever. I wanted to have a new sound for an experience that lets you think or feel about death in a different way. I had to translate the game to the Chinese because the game has been published in Chinese market, and I couldn't translate Arrog, so there is a name for it. And I think it helps translate very simply the whole presentation. The game in Chinese was Chen with Chen, and it's translated to dust to dust. Thank you very much. It's been an honor to be here. And the game is released on Android, Steam, and it's going to be on PlayStation and possibly on Nintendo too. Thank you very much again.
Muchas gracias, Mateo. ありがとうございました。はい、
このゲームちょっとゲーム画面が出なかったんですが、これ非常に審査
So
非常に不思議という。
in the selection process, it was very mysterious game. We didn't know how to interpret this game, but as a background, the myth of the Peru is underlying this game. So it is very inspiring for us. So we have to face some of the questions. So it was very inspiring. So it was a philosophical game. But it is 4 o'clock in the morning in Peru. You know, it is very profound story. Yoshida-san already played the game, so Yoshida-san will give us some comments. Yes. In this year's Sense of Wonder Night, developers all around the world applied for this award. There were all kinds of games. This is developed by a person from Peru, based on the myth of the Peru. So we didn't see that from today's presentation, but actually music is great. Art, music, story. It's not about the language. It's a visual. It's a simple puzzle. Anyone can play from the beginning to the end with a short period of time. So this is what the game is about. Or as the developer said, you know, anyone in the world can send a message, can communicate the cultures through the game. That is leading to the maturity of the gaming world. So I was very inspired. So I look forward to seeing this kind of the games. Okay, thank you very much. So it was a philosophy and a gaming world. They are connected with each other. It is the great thing. You know, psychopompo was one of the keywords, and everyone was searching the word. But don't forget Pico Pico as well. Please leave Pico Pico. Let's go to the next one.
Trust Sailors by Piotr Karski from Poland. Let's go.
Hi guys, I'm Peter, and next to me is sitting Veronica. As Flaky Machine, we are working together on the game called Trash Sailors. It's a hand-drawn sailing co-op games for up to 4 players. In Trash Sailors, you will play as castaways drifting around the world flooded by garbage tsunami, and your main goal is survival. During the journey, you have to collect certain garbage from water. To create resources, you must process collected garbage in a grind and place in the middle of the raft. Created materials will be needed for many things, like repairing the raft, refueling the engine, or as ammunition to shoot enemies from cannons. When designing the game, we wanted to give players many activities so everyone can find something for themselves. For example, lights. When the night comes, nasty spiders start to appear, and additionally, it's completely dark. So we have to, as fast as possible, turn on the light to show the way and keep monsters at a distance. The light will go off after a while, so players have to take care of it too. Raft needs to be steered. Every time the raft hits an obstacle, it gets some damage and starts to sink after a while. We wanted our game to be full of all sorts of surprising dangers, so steering is not an easy job. Fortunately, you can ask your friend for help because steering the raft together makes it much easier. The raft can be eaten by crocodiles, mechanical sharks, hit by a volcanic rock falling from the skies, and much more. Additionally, various types of enemies like crabs, walruses, or muscular rabbits will land on the raft to take control of it, steal resources, or just eliminate our characters. Players will have to face them all while wandering through flooded toxic cities, jungles, Arctic seas, and some wicked secret areas. To add more game progression, we gave players the possibility to buy and apply various upgrades to the raft. Additional firepower, stronger hull, or grappling hook on the top of the mast will make the gameplay easier and more fun in later levels. Right now, we are working also on visual upgrades to give players even more ways to customize their raft. And about characters, there are 4 of them in total. Each of them is a little bit different, have unique fighting skills, and is specialized in different activities. However, the situation on the raft is very dynamic, so everyone should be ready to take over the tasks of other companions at any time because they may suddenly fall overboard. Okay, I think you now know pretty much about the game, so maybe I will tell you more about the development process. Trash Sailors is our second game, and we've been working on it for 2 years now. I'm creating it with Veronica. She drew all these great things you can now see on the screen, and I made everything else. This year, we joined our forces with TinyBuild, and they gave us great support. After finishing our first game, we didn't have any idea about the next one and how it will look like. The only thing we knew was that it must have a coach co-op mode because we love this type of games. We spent some time playing a couple of our favorite indie games and discovered some new ones. After a couple sessions, we thought, what if we took all things that we loved in these games and combined them into one game? So we took Don't Starve vibes, chaos from Overcooked, multitasking from Lovers in Dangerous Spacetime, a grappling hook from Raft, mixed everything up with misadventures of Flapjack Atmosphere, and we've got Trash Sailors. At this point, we finally knew what we wanted to achieve. We wanted players to have their hands full all the time, give them a feeling of rush, and make just to laugh a lot. However, the chaos which players are taking part in is controlled. Game is constantly checking how the players are doing and lowers the difficulty a little bit, not to punish them too much. And if players are getting more experience and doing great, the gameplay is getting harder to keep the challenging level all the time. Players are focused on survival, don't notice it at all, and having fun, which I think is the most important. When we are deciding what kind of game it would be, 2D or 3D, we had to consider our not very big experience. Our skills were not enough to make full-fledged 3D game, and we didn't want to be stuck in the project for like 5 years. We didn't want it to be 2D either because our previous project was 2D, and we wanted to go a little bit farther. So 2.5D was the golden mean, 2D sprites in a 3D world, and I think it was a good decision because players really liked it. However, it implicates a couple of things that we had to face. To make our world look good, the objects had to be as parallel to the camera as possible, but not all of them. For example, waves had to keep their angles. It's the reason also why the raft can turn only at certain angles and can turn back. The waves would at some point just disappear. The only things that were done using 3D models were cannons. They are turning in many directions during aiming, so it was impossible to set them well using 2D graphics. The next challenge was creating animations. All humanoid creatures in the game have 3 separate views that are turning on and off according to its direction of movement. There is a front, back, and side view, and every view has its own different set of animations. So basically, they were tripled for each creature. The animations itself were not very complicated, but for such small team as ours, creating them was very time-consuming. During the development, we encountered a lot of problems, but managed to solve most of them. It still needs some polishing here and there, but I think it's almost ready now. Okay, guys, so I think it's pretty it. I think that it's much better to play the game than to hear about it, so you can play it now. This month, we've prepared a demo which you can try together with your friends or on your own on Steam. Thank you.
Thank you, Dziękuję, Peter. Dziękuję, Veronica. いやー、すごかった。なんか忙しいですね、あの言い方も。
Wow, it's great. It's very busy, you know, and up on a screen, and many things will appear in the oceans. Yeah, the members will collect and, you know, stock up those resources on the raft, and I'm looking forward to the release. All right, so Takahashi-san, any comments? Yeah, resources and tasks were very much distributed, and how to choose them. Those resources is very much a challenge, like walk lift and real-time strategy K is like that kind of thing. But this one is very new genre and from a new angle, and our members need to be selective in choosing resources and pick up them from the oceans. So I'm very, very excited, and I'd like to do it once the demo is available. Yeah, so do I. Yeah, it's fun. It's gonna be fun. You know, because there are some roles you need to play on the raft. All right, so going to the next one, which is the final one. Yes, the 8th one. Yes, time flies. All right. Are you ready?
続いて最後の作品になります。A Space for the Unbound by Eka Pramudita Muharam from Indonesia.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Eka Pramudita, representing Mojiken Studio. I'm the producer of a game called A Space for the Unbound. Today, I would like to give an overview for the game. But before I explain more about A Space for the Unbound, let me show you the trailer of the game. Please enjoy. All right. Okay, so A Space for the Unbound is a slice of life adventure game set in the late 90s rural Indonesia that tells a story about anxiety, depression, and the relationship between a boy and a girl with supernatural powers. The game is set to release on PC and consoles. Here are the game design pillars that the game was built upon. First, we want to tell a story that communicates mental health awareness. We try to communicate the message through a 2D side-scrolling adventure with supernatural story elements. We took a lot of inspiration from Makoto Shinkai's work and tried to incorporate the aesthetic into the game visuals. And then we decided to set the settings in 90s Indonesia. You will play as Atma, a carefree high school student who loves to write a story. He has a girlfriend named Raya, who is a role model in her school. Atma has a magical book that allows him to deep dive into someone's mind, while Raya has a supernatural power. Being anxious with their uncertain future, they decided to spend the rest of their time together before the graduation day, the day when the world ends. The game settings will be set on an imaginary small town based on the late 90s rural Indonesia. When we prototyped the game back in 2015, we initially want to make a love letter to our hometown. We want to capture our good memory back then when we were still just a kid, strolling around in our little town in Indonesia. As a developer, we felt like it's better to represent something that we're already familiar with, to make it feel more genuine. The game features Indonesian urban architecture. We call it Jengki or Yankee architecture. And then food stalls, or we call it warung. Local convenience store, we call it here toko kelontong, and many more. We also try to depict various characteristics of Indonesian people as the townsfolk NPC. As our main protagonist, Atma, is a high schooler, we try to depict Indonesian school life as much as possible and how he interacts with his friends and the townsfolk. As in the story department, we took a lot of inspirations from films such as Inception, Donnie Darko, The Truman Show, and Stranger Things. We also took inspiration from manga and comic books such as Flowers of Evil by Suzo Oshimi Sensei and Cherry by Eisaku Kubunochi Sensei. Okay, so let's talk about the gameplay. Explore an anime-inspired town-based 90s rural Indonesia as a high school student. You can also interact with objects, environment, and townsfolk to look for some clues or reveal their story. And the most important feature of the mall, don't forget to pet the cat along the way. Okay, so in order to access some area, you need to find some items and solve some puzzles. Here, we can see Atma trying to skip the school by using a climbing rope that he borrows from the mountain climbing club. And kids, please don't try this at your school. You will also encounter a mini-game challenge in order to progress the story. For example, here is a stealth mini-game where Atma has to avoid getting caught by his teachers. Again, kids, seriously, please don't try this at your school. There will be more fun mini-games that you have to beat across the game. Sometimes, Atma will encounter obstacles that he can't overcome. In this case, he needs something to climb on. But the only person in town who owns a ladder forbid him to borrow it, especially for breaking into someone's house, right? So what do? Well, we use Atma's spatial power, space dive. So you can use your magical book to space dive into people's mind. See what are they struggling about, meet their anxious self, meet their imaginary friends, interact with the object that caused them anxious, solve the puzzle, and help them cope and progress the story. You can put objects from outside of someone's mind and plant them here and influence the person to do something in the real world. In this case, Atma is trying to influence the security guard to fall asleep so that he can borrow the ladder. You can also take objects from someone's mind to be used as key items to progress the story. Sometimes you need to dig deeper to find the key from within. And that concludes the overview of A Space for the Unbound. I hope this gives you an idea about the game. The game is scheduled to be released on Steam, PS4, Xbox One, and Nintendo Switch next year. You can try the free prologue chapter and wishlist the game on Steam. Follow us on Twitter at ASFTUGame for news and updates about the game. Thank you very much. Arigatou gozaimasu.
Thank you very much. Terimakasi.
It was beautiful graphics. The game emerged from Indonesia. That is good. And he was inspired by many films. Makoto Shinkai was mentioned, and that made sense to many people. But he did very well to use that. I didn't mind looking at the game all time. And he said that petting a cat is very important. Maybe it is relevant with the story of the game. Yes, I was wondering what it is. Okay, let me have a comments from Komagata-san. I love pixel art gaming, and he mentioned Makoto Shinkai. I was wondering if I was able to mention that, so he said it. It means I can say it. It was eye-catching graphics and a story. The relationship between a boy and a girl with the superpowers. It's kind of the mainstream story. I'm looking forward to this game launch. This is one of my wish list on the Steam, so we are very much looking forward to it. That was all for the presentations. So it was very quick. So what did you think? The level was very high. I saw a lot of brand new concepts. So it was a very high level competition. So it was a very good art and interaction. We see that every year, but we saw that this year as well. Yes, the story was very profound. Yes, it is very interesting every year. I think our audience felt the same way. Okay, we are now collecting all the comments or Pico. Yes? Okay, while we wait for the result, let's receive the comments from each selection committee member.
All right, so Juan-san from Game Tapas, thank you for the remote participation from far away. Any comments, please?
Yes, I have seen the games and played the games and really enjoyed this year's selection. I personally love how a very simple element of gameplay, such as electricity in Elec Head, creates such an innovative game. I also love how the use of the Switch controller in Fight Crab emulates the feeling of the crab itself. It's fantastic. And also, I would like to congratulate the Nimbatus team for really engaging with the community, not just creating a user-generated game, but also engaging with the community to make the game even better.
Thank you. All right, so Raymond-san.
Hi, hello, Tokyo. How are you? Well, I have to say that I have played some of these games. I have seen others, and I think more or less all of these games are super interesting. The selection is super diverse, so I think it's something good for the jury, and we have played or we have seen some of these interesting games. I have been surprised because of Infinity, because it's at the beginning you think that it's a game that is super simple, but then you see that there are some layers of deepness, and it's a very interesting game. I have played Fight Graph not in the Switch version. I have played in the PC version, and it controls pretty well also with the gamepad. So you use the two twin sticks to emulate the fighting. I have to say that I love Arrow. It's a game that is super deep, is super interesting. It's not so large. It's a game that talks about Peruvian culture in some way, and also talks about the feelness of looseness. And I have to say that I have also a space for the Unbound in my wish list. I know it since some time. I really like the art style. I have played. There are some ideas that I really like the space dive. So I think in this time, well, all the years the game is super surprising. I remember some of the games from previous years. I remember that the Fightcraft developer was in 2 years, 3 years ago. So it's like he's another time here. And the other game I think was Ease of Seafood was super interesting also. But it's super nice to see that every year the developers surprise us. And I think that's all my thoughts.
Thank you. All right, so Kobayashi-san, any comments in short space of time? Yeah, we've seen 8 titles, but unchosen titles were so credible and high quality. And I've seen in NetNet that many games have high quality. Indonesia and Peru, and we have many countries participating, and cultures and lifestyles are very much mirrored in those productions. But other countries' cultures have been taken, and generating diverse universe of those games, which is very interesting. I'm very much looking forward to the path of those indie games. Yeah, Kitayama-san. There's one game that is centering around the death. Tens of tons of times, so we can die many times, but in the real world, you can just die once. So that's really thought-provoking. And, I had to admit, I've thought about many things during the games, and I was kind of putting myself into the shoes of crabs and while playing the games for crabs. And those games are actually from overseas, which was very good part, I feel. Takahashi-san? Yes, this is our first online Tokyo game show. What's pleasing about it, Brazil and Peru, and those are the countries where actually hadn't applied to date, but actually it is applying. But what's unfortunate about today's environment is that, there are too many games with proprietary games have been applied so far, but there were a few games this time. Komagato-san? Yes, this is the second time I participate. But South America and Eastern Europe, there are many productions that have been applied. So while stationed in Japan, I can see and I can touch and feel with the many those cultures and those games. That was a very good time for screening. Yes, Sense of Wonder Night. This is my first night to participate. Actually, among those applications, there were so wonderful games with many members, but while I had conversation with the members, with the screening members, we selected those games that were intriguing to even those fewer participants, fewer players with a good quality. And that was a very good point of having a Sense of Wonder Night. All right, so it seems like a tallying has been over.
It's not too, so please do not leave yet because we are announcing the awards and there will be some time. It's not too late to leave Pico Pico. Okay, we have the result now. Do we have the finalists? Are you paying attention? Do we have everyone? Okay, let me announce. First, Best Experimental Game Award. Winner is Infini by David Martin. Congratulations. It was really experimental. It was a great game. Congratulations. Okay, going to the next one? Yes. By the way, you will be getting a trophy and $500. Okay, next one. Best Technological Game Award. The winner is the Best Technological Game Award goes to Nimbatus. The Space Drone Constructor. Okay, it may be surprising for the developer, but congratulations. It was very technological. Okay, congratulations. You will be getting a trophy and $500. Congrats. Okay, next, the Best Game Design Award. The award goes to Elec Head by Nama Takahashi. The game from Japan won the award. It was a very simple idea, but it was a very good game. It was very highly regarded. Congratulations. You will be also getting trophy and $500. The next one. Best Arts Award. The award goes to Okay, please wait. This is a very important moment, so come on. Okay, can you play the music again? Okay, the award goes to A Space for the Unbound by Eka Pramudita. Congratulations. You will be getting a trophy and $500. Congratulations. The next one, the Best Presentation Award. The award goes to Fight Club by Mr. Onuki. Another Japanese game. So it was a game of crab. Yes, that really made sense from a philosophical standpoint. It was also good. Yes, this is a game I'm looking forward to playing. Okay. The last award, Audience Award Grand Prix. So I will be reading out 2 games that got the most Pico Picos, and of 2 games, we will be selecting 1 Grand Prix based on my very accurate sensor. So let me first announce 2 titles. One is Elec Head. The second one is A Space for the Unbound. So these are the 2 titles that could win the Grand Prix. So whoever gets more Pico Pico will get the Grand Prix. So based on the number of Pico Picos, the Grand Prix will be determined. So I ask audience to leave Pico Pico now, and I use my eyeball sensor to see which one got more Pico Pico. I'm getting old, but you can trust my sensor. I'm not sure because you needed to remove your glasses. Okay, again. First one is Elec Head, the game from Japan. Okay, whoever liked Elec Head, now is the time to leave Pico Pico. Okay, now leave Pico Pico. So I want to express Pico Pico by sounds because we see so many Pico Picos. Okay. Is your sensor working? Yes, yes, yes. Okay, the other one, A Space for the Unbound. The game from the Indonesia, inspired by Makoto Shinkai. So whoever liked the game better, now is the time to leave Pico Pico now. How is it going? It is very exciting. We are waiting for a lot of Pico Picos. Is it gonna be Elec Head, the game from Japan, or A Space for the Unbound, a game from Indonesia? Okay, I think my eyeball sensor got the result. Are you sure? Yes, yes. Are you ready? Okay, we have the result. Did you make up your mind? Yes, I did. Okay, the Grand Prix goes to... The Audience Award Grand Prix goes to... A Space for the Unbound. Congratulations. When I heard I thought you made a mistake, but you're sure? Yes, I'm pretty sure. Congratulations. You'll be getting a trophy and $3,000 US. Okay. So Audience Award Grand Prix went to A Space for the Unbound. So why don't we hear from Eka Pramudita? Can we have a comment?
Okay, so thank you very much, everyone. So I was just praying to God and hope you lend us your power like in Dragon Ball, like Genki Dama. So yeah, thank you so much for everyone. We hope that, well, we can deliver A Space for the Unbound next year to you, so you can play and enjoy it. Yeah, I think that's it. Thank you so much.
Yes, it will be good if you can launch the Japanese version.
Sure. Well, we've already had the publisher for Japan market. The game will be published by Chorus Worldwide. So yeah, please looking forward for their release.
Yes, we are looking forward to the release. Yes.
はい、というわけで本当におめでとうございました。エカさん、本当また
Okay, congratulations, Mr. Ika. We look forward to your future. So after all the COVID-19 is done, please come to Japan.
Sure, I would love to.
Yes. We want to get together so that we can share this great feeling. Okay, I'm not sure who should be leading the conversation. This happens in a remote setting. But congratulations to everyone who was nominated. So everyone had a very high-level game. Well, my eye sensor worked, but I was not sure to the last minute. I want to really appreciate whoever joined this event.
All right, so this is a first online event of TGS 2020 and connecting everyone around the world through the web. So how do you make up that event, Shin-san? Well, I was really worried about technical glitches, but it didn't really happen, so it was great. But having said that, the 2021, we would like to open the facility for 2021 to everybody that come into Japan, and so that everybody can actually feel with the actual hands and eyes, once the coronavirus subsides. And I would like to have the event in a physical one once again in Tokyo. Yes, 2021. I would like to see you next year here in Tokyo in a facility in person. Today we are broadcasting live from Exofield Akiba. Thank you very much for your attention and listening, and presenters and the selection committee members. Thank you for all the staffs and the neighbors. I appreciate it. Thank you. All right, so bye for now. See you later next year, 2021, in Tokyo Game Show. See you then.
スポンサーはソニーインタラクティブエンターテインメント、任天堂。
Sponsors by PlayStation and Nintendo. Sony Interactive Entertainment and Nintendo.